Sports fans. In the final segment, I'm going to discuss college football, and especially what's happened the past week in particular. It's really something that the SEC has had to cancel 4 games in the last 2 or 3 days, I believe it is, and I think it's the last 2, due to the coronavirus. I would say if it continues at the rate that it is progressing, that the SEC or the rest of the SEC schedule is in jeopardy. Pac-12's not doing really well either, and they just kicked off their seasons and had a lot of problems right at the beginning. And of course, the Big Ten has had a lot of problems, and I think too many more, especially with the Buckeyes-Terrapins game having been canceled on Saturday, could lead to the Big Ten shutting down the rest of their season as well. The question I have is, what are they doing differently from the NFL? I mean, I'm not saying there haven't been coronavirus outbreaks in the NFL, but they seem to be better contained. Granted, we're talking about younger people who are not paid athletes, but still, in a conference like the SEC, the one thought that came to my mind is the state of Florida. Has Florida just opened up their gates too early and they let their guard down? I don't know. I don't live in Florida, and it's interesting, though, to see what's going on with that. Oddly enough, even though the Gators had an outbreak, none of the Gators game's not canceled for Saturday, but you wonder if there hasn't been spread, and that's why I'm saying that. And perhaps the same thing in the Big Ten, though I don't think that's the case because there's no linkage, as the Badgers have not played the Buckeyes, and neither the Cornhuskers did, yes, but the Cornhuskers not had an outbreak. So, and it wasn't the Buckeyes that had an outbreak either; it was the Terrapins. But you wonder a little bit about that, what the source is, and can they get to it and the like. And as we know, Trevor Lawrence, the ACC has had problems. Notre Dame's had problems. Albeit Trevor Lawrence will play on Saturday. But it's just really, really interesting in that aspect. The question from my standpoint is, are they going to be able to finish the rest of the season? I believe they're going to try. I think it could be problematic, but I do also believe if this continues for too much longer, particularly in the Southeast and I would say, if applicable, Texas, I think the SEC may shut down the rest of their season, and if they do, will you then see the domino effect with the Pac-12 and, let's say, the Big Ten? And if those 3 do, now 3 of the Power 5 are now done for the season, does that just automatically wipe out the rest of the season and make it moot for everybody else, even though they may not have experienced an outbreak in their conference like the SEC or the Pac-12 have? That's really interesting to me, and this could be a much bigger story than that of games themselves. I hope that isn't the case, but it's getting to be if you haven't been following the breaking news as of late. Before I wrap this up, I want to give a shout out to the 2 new subscribers that we've had within the last 24 hours, I believe it is. Again, if you like the videos, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Don't forget about the college football recap on Friday, where I will discuss the Wolverines game against the Hoosiers, as well as the Spartans game with the Hawkeyes, and I will talk about their next games. And also, don't forget about the Detroit Lions tomorrow on Saturday, where I will preview the Lions game with the Washington football team, otherwise known as the former Redskins, which is what I will refer to them as. And that will do it for another episode of Sports with Ed. Take care. Have a good night. Stay safe. Bye for now.